Okay, for question number 8, the transformation, this one should be reflected over x-axis. That 2 is vertical stretch by 2, and this is right 2, and this is down 5. Okay, so that's the number 8. Number 9, I want you to use a graphing calculator. This question is give you projectile motion. So you go to the calculator, type it in a y equals, go to your calculator. Okay. I'll let you see both ways. You see which one is easy. Y equal to, then you can just type it in. Did you all find a y equal to?
Yes.
Okay.
7.48331.
You plug in, and so your graph, you look at this graph, look kind of like, the shape should look like this. Like that. This is your shape. The y-intercept is 4.48. That should be the vertex right here. Okay, the negative sign means it opens down. The question is asking you determine the appropriate domain. So the appropriate domain is from here to here, which is the x value. So you can solve for zeros too. So you can do the negative 0.08 t squared plus 4.48. You make this equal to 0 without looking at the y. That's what you're going to find the 0. So t squared should equal to 4.48 divided by 0.08. Whatever this number is, you take a square root of that, you find the t. So I type it in the calculator. The t squared is really 56. So t is 7.5. So this point is 7.5. So the appropriate domain is from 0 to 7.5. That's it, the appropriate domain. And then the range, of course, you can see from 0 to 4.48.
Because it starts as yeah.
That's how long it's gonna take. Take a 7.5 seconds to hit the ground. Number 10 is really it's a similar question, it's just with different number. So I'm gonna move on to number 11 and 12. Number 11, it's kind of like you use each point. That, let's say you find this point to start it, you do this, reflect, which is the negative sign. You reflect it over x-axis, which is come down here, and go left 1. So your first point become over here. So you do it for each point. Okay. Number 12, what this half stands? Half means you take this point, the y value divided by 2. So the y value right now is 2. You divide it by 2 is 1. Then you go down 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's your first point. Come down here. And then you do the rest of the points with the same method. Okay. Number 13 and 14, you need to read the information. 14 is very easy, is the objective function. So you just look at the $3 for the x and the $1 for the y. So it's easy to choose that. And number 13 is the part that you see that it has at least a cup. It's the 12 cups That's what this is. So if you read that, it's kind of easy to choose. Number 15, if we ask you to write the quadratic graphs that is the with that transformation. So the transformation, you start writing, you know the x squared right now has a transformation become like this. So y equals, reflected it, and the vertical compression, and then it's right 3 and down 2. So with this number 16, the graphs that you need to know, like A, that's 3 variables of systems. So A is they don't cross at all, so you call this as no solution. B, you see that they all cross at one point, so you have a 1 solution. C doesn't have all 3 of them together. It's only like a 2, 2, and 2. So it's also called no solution. D is a 3 planes that they have all intersecting in one line. One line has infinite dots. So we call infinite solution. Okay, so that's what we call that. On number 17, right now you don't need to solve 3 variable systems. Use a matrix, but make sure your x, y, z is lined up. So let's put it in. X is 2, y is 1, z is -1, equal to 5. Move the x over, become a 2, move the y over, move the z stays there, and then everything else is gone, then it's 0. And then move the x over, y is 1, z is 0, and then that's 0. So you type it in the calculator for matrix, okay? So you don't need to solve them. Okay, number 18, so you look at this, how do you know, see, if you see a parabola originally like here, right, they call this is the original function. How do you know that function is being, did you see it become skinnier, right? So it's vertically stretched by what? So you look at this first point, you look at this is their first point. You x go up 1, y go up 1 and the 2. So vertically stretch it by 2. And then you can see for the original one, they went to the right 1 and down 3. So you put it in to write this equation is y equals 2 x minus 1 squared minus 3. Number 19 is kind of like the same question as we did earlier, the projectile motion, same thing. So whenever you see these questions, you have multiple ways. This time, this has a t over here, right? So when you solve, you can solve by factoring. You know, you can factor out -1000. You can do that. You get 4. Oh, t also factor out. They all have a t. So factor out -1000t. You get a 4t minus 3. So if you do factoring. So you find a t right away. So t equals 0.75. Be careful. This t is the 0 because that's what you did. Okay, so you find the t, that's a 0. So you get this and what is the maximum? Okay, the question is asking you the maximum height. So what you just find out this t right here is 0.75. So what you do, you can cut the 0.75 to half and plug it back into the equation. You find the y value, then that's your maximum height because you need the axis of symmetry. Or this question, you can use axis of symmetry directly by negative b over 2a. So negative b is negative 3,000 over 2a. You get 3 over 8. You know, it's kind of, you can see that this is a 3/4, right? So if this divided by 2, you get 3/8. So anyway, you will find that that's the axis of a symmetry, which is our h and k, right? So that's the vertex, h and the k. So you already have the h. How do you find the k? Plug it in 3/8 to this t right here. Okay, this is a t squared, this is a t. You plug it in and you get that. You just type it in a calculator, use h of t equals negative 4,000. Don't forget that's a 3/8 is squared plus 3,000 3/8. And this is the number what you have. That's how high this the bugs goes to a jump that high. That's the vertex. Okay. So number 20 is also like a similar question. If we plug it in, h of t equal to negative 16t squared plus 32t, and then the h of 0, the ball was from the ground level, so h of t is 0. So your question should look like this. And they ask you, after how many seconds will the ball hit the ground? So the ball hit the ground, this is like this. If the ball hit the ground, they asking for 0. So you can solve this, make that equal to 0, solve quadratics, or you type it in a calculator. And like I said, these type of question, I would say a lot easier if you just solve it algebraically, because graphically it takes time. But if you don't know at the point, don't know how to solve algebraically, you use graphing calculator. Okay, let me quickly show you. Whenever you have two terms in the quadratic equation, it's always easy solve algebraically. So you can factor out negative 16 t. You factor out the t. Then you have a t minus 2. See, look at how easy it is. One is t equal to 0, which is this. T equal to 2 is right here. So solve algebraically is kind of easy. Number 21, look at the transformation. Is just write 2 down 5. Write a function in vertex form, completing the square. You guys are already good at. So number 23, write the standard form, just expand this. Okay, so these are easy questions, so we can move on. Okay, now let's look at question number 42. 42, to complete a square. So that's just 14 divided by 2 and square. So it's adding 49. So adding 49, then this is, right? And solving 43 is good. Simplify, just FOIL. Okay. And simplify does the same thing. Gotta finish that. Which of the expression is equal to 4 minus 7i. Oh, this question is actually is a plus. The question that's typo here. Otherwise, you can't find the answer. 4 plus 7i. A online music service that is using the function. Okay, anytime if we gave you the equation, it's always easy. Okay, they say how many downloads does it needed to sell the profit more than 8,000. So when you plug it in 8,000 and equal to this, you still do equations first. Finish solving, move the 8,000 over to make it a 0. And you can do quadratic formula or you can use graphing calculator to do it. And make sure because they say more than, so you just make a D is big then, so then you finish that.
Wait, what?
So it's like the question they say where the D is the number of downloads sold, and then if you solving equation, you make the D equal to, right? But when you answer the question, you just need a more than this number. You know, if you download more than this number, then your profit will be more than 8,000, because when you solve it and make it equal to 8,000. Number 41. Just want to quick remind you, if you want to solve, okay, I prefer sometimes students like solving use quadratic formula, it's easy. But if you wanted to do solving by graphing, you do y1 equals this,
Oh, and then
y2 equal to 8,000. But when you do y2 equal to 8,000, make sure you need to adjust your window. Your window, the y, you gotta put at least like a 12,000. So your 8,000, you will be able to see 8,000 somewhere down here. So your window is like, your 8,000 is somewhere in the middle. Then you can do, the parabola is something like, I don't know what the vertex by without. So this is, more than from here or whatever this intersecting point is, and then this portion is, if this is 8,000, so this portion will be the profit more than 8,000. Okay, so the real graph is look like this. Actually, this is 8,000, and then and this is over here, this is a 30, and this is, if you type it in a calculator, this is a 60. So the downloads between 30 and the 60, the profit is above 8,000. Solving systems for question number 48. So same thing, you do this. This is a y1, this is a y2. Type it in a calculator. And then, Desmos will be very easy to solve that. Or you could just algebraically set them equal to each other. You all know how to do that. Same thing with 49. See, with Desmos, it's very easy to solve 48, 49. Number 50 is inequality. That's kind of a simple, you guys. It's both are linear. And number 51, you have to do A, B, C, D, E, F to see which one will simplify to this. Of course, on the finals, it's not like that. Finals, it's a multiple choice. This one question is like you have to do each one of them. Okay, solve absolute value function. I want to talk about that. Maybe it's been a while, you forgot about it. So first you isolate this. How to isolate that? You make a 15 minus 9, which is 6. Then you multiply by 3, like that, right? Be very careful. If your absolute value is equal to a negative number, you just don't continue. You just make it a no solution, okay? If you continue, that is wrong. And then you just do two parts. 4x plus 2 equal to positive 18. 4x plus 2 equal to negative 18. And finish that question. Number 53, transformation. Reflection, vertical stretch, left 2, down 3. So it's easy. 54 says, absolute value. We know the absolute value function look like this. And then all three notations, since it's all multiple choice, as long as you can read them, then you're good.
Wait,
The inequality notation is like this.
for 52, Joshua Russo.
Okay, same thing when you solve this, divided by 3 first, right? Okay, if they ask you to solve graphically, but all the graph is given, so it's okay. As long as you can read, if they do this is negative 3 right here, and then the other one, they do negative 1, which is right here, and then facing down. So they gave you this, and they ask you what's the solution, so you say x equal to negative 2, x equal to 0. Then that's how you solve them. As long as you can read them, then you are good. So 57 and 58, they should be okay. And it's absolute value, and you just know how to graph them. And then I'm going to talk about, I don't know if you still remember, and behavior is like this. You look at the ends. So the ending is this. The ending is it. So when x approaches to negative infinity, y approaches to negative infinity. X approaches to positive infinity, y goes to positive infinity from that situation. See, this one doesn't matter what the x goes, both the y goes to negative infinity. Okay. And this one, when x goes to negative infinity, x is positive infinity. When x goes to positive infinity, y goes to negative infinity. Okay.
Do you have to put the negative ones first?
Yes. If you do, your writing is always like this. Will never change for n behavior. You only change is the y portion. See what it is. So this one is y goes to infinity, y goes to negative infinity. Okay. Inverse, to prove, of course, you just make sure, I just want to make sure you know how to read them. You have to know how to use composition of a function. So it's like a f of g of x. To prove that is f of g of x equal to g of f of x equal to x. So when you do that, you use f first. F is 3x minus 7. So now your whole x is g of x. So just put this in. And of course, you see that you calculate it, you get x. Then after that, you have to do g of f of x. So you get g function. G function is what? Is x plus 7 over 3. So your x right now, I'm going to use different color. Your x is right now is f of x. So what's f of x? 3x minus 7. You simplify this, you also get x. So you prove that they both equal to x. and then that's the compositional function is all equal to x, they are inverse each other. Number 61, you just write it out and solve it, use matrix, okay? So 52 is easy factoring, 62 is easy factoring, 63, 4 is all good. 65 is, we already did on the test, and the only thing is, the long division, right? The 68, right now, on the exam, it doesn't matter which method you use. I just wanted you to know, what about if we don't give you this, okay? We want you to do factoring of that. So you type this into y equals, put in the calculator or decimals, and you find the zero. If it's a graphing calculator, I prefer you to use y1 and y2 equal to 0. So you trace for intersecting point. So when you use the intersecting point, then you will be able to do that. And then you just have this, right? This is and the y1, y2. So whatever the graph is like this, you can find the zeros from your graph, okay? So that's when you solve, you don't need to use guess and check. You can use graphing calculator. If we don't give you this, then you can write that. So one of the solution will be 2. Let's say this is a 2. And then you find a 2, then you will get a quadratic. Quadratic, you can use X method to finish that.